Welcome, I'm Bill Wake. This is my summary of the work we did on Twitch last week. We're working on a set of tools for dulcimer players, and the focus this last week was mostly on accessibility and user interface kind of concerns. A little bit of functionality, but that was the bulk of it. So one thing we did was we remembered the last tool and do a restart to that tool. We provided a pull to refresh on the calendar. We checked for what happens in landscape mode with large fonts, with dark mode, with iPad, and then the metronome needed rearrangement for landscape view, and a few places needed some adjustments for the large fonts. Let's see a demo and take a code walkthrough. All right, so this is our opening screen. It's got a tile for each tool. Let's go into accessibility and tweak the text for a larger size and just get a feel for what the app looks like with that. Okay, so the tiles group bigger. Let's go to one of the examples. So here's chord chart, and basically the lines and text are all bigger. Let's go even further. And now we've driven it so big it can't show both bridges on the same screen, so it shows one at a time. Not ideal. I hope not a lot of people are doing it this large, but there was no way to fit this stuff onto one screen like that. That sort of thing happened throughout. There were a few places that needed some adjustments, but mostly we don't have too much complexity. There's not a whole lot of change. Let me just go to one more just to demonstrate a little difference. You can see the tiles have changed a little bit too. Let's go to the jam. Okay, so there's nothing really too different. The big difference is this was a kind of a click picker, a list of things, and you could see them. We've gone to this menu style picker. Let me go back and you can compare. A little smaller than we started. Okay, but now we can fit this on there, and it's reasonable with that font. If you can't see that size font, we've got the other tool instead. So most of the changes were things on that line, just kind of making sure things fit across in the different sizes, a couple of tool changes. All right. Another thing we worked on was the landscape mode. And again, mostly going through and just making sure everything seems okay. The metronome had a little bit of change though. We basically pulled these two things over to the side, and this is still working the same way, but let's go back. Whoops. Roll it all the way around. Okay, so if you're vertical, you see this kind of view. If you're horizontal, you see the other. Here's the chord chart. Let's rotate that. That's actually a little squeezed vertically, but it's got plenty of room horizontally for bridges. Most hammer dulcimers, at least the chord charts I've seen, do 2 bridges. There are ones with 3 or 4, or 4 main and some smaller ones and stuff like that. But we're not supporting those per se, so this view is quite adequate for that. We also ran on iPad, just again to make sure things are looking okay over there. This is fine. It's got a little more white space than it needs, but it's all right. If you rotate it, at one point we had it, it was detecting it thought that it should do a 1-column view in this, and we made sure that the rotation didn't affect it. It was more based on the size, if it had enough room for things. But yeah, it seems to be okay on iPad. I think our target audience probably has about as many iPads as iPhones, because a lot of musicians have gone to putting all their music on the iPad, and then they can kind of quickly look at, quickly find it and not have to carry big books of music around. All right, let's look at the code. I think we'll just focus on a couple of things that went on. One was around the tools. I changed the way the tiles and stuff came together. I introduced an enum that knows which tools there are, and then we added some state to keep track of the active tools. So this works in conjunction with navigation. Because it's app storage, it's persistent. Oh, I guess I could do that. Let's go into chord chart. We'll quit the app and restart it. And we're back in the same chart. So that's being done by that app storage. And then the list of things, we have a list of tools, and then the view just walks through the list, wraps it in a navigation link, and shows the tile for it. So a little different. It splits off the navigation destination now. It kind of generically knows, hey, each tile, let's go ahead and call up the right tool for it. All right, the metronome, we had the challenge that the portrait metronome worked, but the landscape one didn't. And so we use something I don't think I've used before, but it's called View That Fits. And basically it takes a set of subviews. So I have two of them here, the V stack and the H stack. And it tries the first one, and if that fits, it keeps it. And if it doesn't fit, it goes to the second choice. This one is the vertical one. It just puts the four pieces vertically for portrait mode, and this is the landscape. It makes an H stack of two separate groups of pieces. And again, it just shows whichever one fits on the screen. This is really nice. So that solved our iPad problem, because if I detected it by orientation, the iPad is so big it doesn't really make a difference. But View That Fits knows that, and it says, oh, the rotated one is fine. And so it uses that. Okay, and we did a similar thing for the HD hammer dulcimer view. The first one we tried is the horizontal stack, putting each bridge horizontally, and if that doesn't work, we go to a vertical stack. And this makes it work nicely. Again, it's not a whole lot of work. You have to make sure your views are pulled out enough that you don't feel like you're not faced with 100 lines of view code with two different things going on. I think this is kind of my upper limit. It's tolerable. It's enough that I can kind of see what's going on, so I'll take it. Okay, so coming up is a beta test, really. I've had a few people, 3 or 4 people looking at it already, and I want to broaden that to maybe a dozen or so. And if that goes well, then try and get this thing ready to release and get it out there. All right. Now, I am switching my Twitch schedule. I was doing it every week, Monday through Thursday. I'm going to go to more of a free-form thing, probably fewer sessions and shorter sessions. But basically, I'm on U.S. Eastern Time, so somewhere 9 to 5 during that. I'll announce things on Mastodon if I'm about to start a session, or will in a couple hours, whatever I think of. And again, as always, xp123.com/Twitch goes to the live session, and xp123.com/YouTube goes to old sessions, time delayed and lightly edited. That'll be a lot less intense if I cut down so much. All right. Well, thanks for joining, for coming along on this whole app if you've been there that long, and hope to catch you in the future. Take care.